All right, let's bring in a guy who is a Yankee fan, and he's also one of our morning hosts here on ESPN New York, 98.7 FM. That's Mike Greenberg. You didn't know he was a Yankee fan, Don?
Fan?
He's a big Yankee fan. He's always at Yankee games.
Because he's got a job to do.
No, he's there with his son. Greeny, are you a Yankee or a Met fan?
I grew up a Yankee fan all my life, and the reason that Don thinks that I'm a Met fan, and I've allowed him to think that all this time so he would like me, is that I've never been one who disliked the Mets, and I did find myself rooting for the Mets a lot in the mid-2000s when they had a good team. There were a bunch of guys on that team that I really liked. So I did root for them a lot. But both my parents were born in the Bronx. I spent my entire childhood going to Yankee Stadium.
You're a fraud.
Wow.
All the way around it, and I think
lost on. So
we've known each other for 13 years, and I know you're a fan of the show. So knowing me and knowing how I feel about it, you would understand that that's fraudulent behavior.
And listen, you'll get no argument out of me. I actually have a question for both of you. And I just heard, Michael, you running through the Yankee lineup, and you tell me. And I like Girardi a lot, but I always hear that a manager has to keep things the same and not act as though he's panicking. And we're 2 games into the season, as Don just pointed out, and you have essentially remade your team after 2 bad-looking losses. Do you think that feels a little bit like pushing a panic button prematurely?
I don't like it. I think it feels that way, but there is an extenuating circumstance to this. And that's the fact that after this game, which starts at 8 o'clock Eastern time, they are going to get into Toronto tomorrow at 5 a.m. And then they have to play the game that night. So McCann's going to catch Tanaka, so it makes sense to rest McCann. I'm not sure about the Ellsbury thing. That doesn't make sense. You don't pay a guy $175 million unless you expect him to play 162 games. So I have not gotten word that there's anything wrong with his calf, but it is a little strange that he's out of the lineup.
Yeah, it's. I understand all of that, but at the end of the day, it's Thursday. The season started Tuesday. It feels a little early to be resting. I understand perhaps if you're going to rest McCann, but to take Ellsbury out, unless there's something wrong we don't know about, strikes me as very strange. I don't know. Just as you were saying it, I was thinking to myself, boy, that sounds like something a fan might call in and say they should do. That someone might call and say, what they need to do? They need to change everything. And most of the time we would laugh and say, don't be ridiculous. It's only the 3rd game of the season. And instead, this time it's the manager doing it. So it felt a little that way to me as I was listening to you run down the lineup.